Hi everyone, it's Wilhelm Hast here, and in today's video we'll speak about effectiveness. What it isn't, what effectiveness is, and what we could do to increase our capacity to enjoy stress-free productivity. So first of all, effectiveness. I ask a lot of people, what is effectiveness? And if you want to increase your effectiveness, what is that about? The most common answers I get when I work in companies and address that question with people is we do things faster. We do things with fewer resources. We increase the quality with the same amount of resources. So basically the whole notion of effectiveness is oriented around doing more in less time with fewer resources and hopefully getting the quality up. And well, short term that could work maybe, but long term it doesn't work at all. To me, effectiveness is about the balance between two things. There is the results on the one hand, and it's the capacity to produce those results on the other hand. So let me draw a simple little drawing here. Here we have results. Here we have the capacity for results. As you can see, these videos are low quality production, but there's high quality content. So if you have a demand for results that is this big, you need a capacity for results that's equal to the demand for results. That's just how it works. You can't produce more results than you have current capacity to produce results. So in your life right now, the results you're having is most likely a match for the current capacity you have for those results. Now in the workplace, this often happens. There is an increasing demand for results. So there is more results requested of somebody, or there's increased goals, or suddenly there is more that needs to get done. The most common way to get those things done is to add speed and add time. I'm looking now at the individual, a typical leader, typical manager, typical entrepreneur, somebody who is accountable for delivering some results. They often start to put in more hours and work longer. They bring work home in the evenings, they start working weekends, they come in the mornings, they skip lunch some days, so they add hours and they try to work quicker. Try to speed up, respond to those emails quicker, increase speed, and that could work for a while and the results get done. With hard work, grinding it out, results gets delivered. This is not a great way to increase your capacity long term. It could work in the short term, an extra evening or maybe a long weekend or something, because there is close to a deadline. But as a strategy long term and for life, it ends up in disaster sometimes. You get tired, you start to burn out, and your capacity starts to decrease. So this is what happens when you see effectiveness as a function of speed, grind, resources, and putting in more hours. Now, effectiveness is balancing, it's rather the result of a balance between results and the capacity for results. So if we have results here, and you have capacity here, capacity for results, how can we increase our capacity without necessarily putting in more hours or trying to increase the speed? The interesting question here is what factors has an impact on our capacity to be productive? You can look for yourself now, what do you think has an impact on your capacity to be productive? The most common answers I get here are things like my motivation, my goals, the work environment, my relationships to my colleagues and my staff, for sure my relationship to my boss, And mostly what people respond to when we start looking at the factors that has an impact on the capacity for results are the visible factors of capacity. Things we can see, things that are kind of obvious, things that we can impact, tools, processes, methods, stuff like that. It's stuff we recognize and we try to improve those and we work on improving those, and when that's done well, the capacity goes up and there is more space, more resource, more capacity to use for the results. And by the way, your results is not only on your job. Your results in this conversation also includes the results outside of work. There is shopping to be done and food to be cooked and maybe kids to be taken care of and picked up at sports event, and whatever is appropriate for you. You have results to deliver both at work and in life. And your capacity is your personal capacity in this example to take care of all of it. And if you work on some things, you get better tools, you get better processes, get more clarity about your goals, you improve a relationship with a key relationship in your life, your capacity starts to go up and you can handle more results. That's all good. When I work with what I call true effectiveness, how to truly enjoy stress-free productivity, being your best self more of the time. To be truly effective, the high leverage factors in increasing capacity are those that are not visible. They are invisible. In coming videos, I'll speak more of those. It is mostly principles that when we understand them insightfully, we gain capacity. It actually has a higher leverage than the visible factors most often. Some of them are very simple to understand. An example could be your level of presence. When a human being is present fully to what they do or to another person in a communication and interaction, the capacity to be productive is way higher than if we're overthinking and our head is full of worrying thoughts, or we're too stressed, so we're simply not present. Present to another being or present to what we do. So a present human being has a higher capacity than a human being that's not present. It's kind of obvious, isn't it? I see so many meetings starting at workplaces where people are not present. They're not present to each other. They're not present to the purpose of the meeting. They're not present to what they're there for. And therefore, the meetings lack a capacity that would be present if people were simply present. So that's one example. There is many others. Level of clarity is another one. Peace of mind is another one. Your mindset and approach to what you do is yet another one. Your level of energy simply is another one. We could go on and on and on. There are many principles and invisible factors that has a huge impact on people's capacity to be productive. It doesn't even add here. When you start working with the invisible factors for increased capacity, it's like doing this. You get a much greater leverage. And you add an increased capacity for results over here, and you'll watch your results go through the roof. This is all for today's video almost. I just wanted to introduce the concept of a capacity for results as the access to being truly effective. A common mistake is focusing too much on the results in themselves and being overly focused on the outcome of what we do. Overly focused on the results and working harder with more hours and more force and more speed to try to get there. Being truly effective has a lot to do with increasing one's capacity to produce results. And that has to do with both visible and invisible aspects. For now, at the end of this video, I could simply encourage you to just notice your capacity in the moment. Your capacity goes up and down over the day, and it goes up and down over the weeks and months. And sometimes in the day we have a strong capacity. We feel energized, we're focused, we're present. And in those moments we can take on the more challenging tasks and focus on them. And then there are times during the day when we're simply not our best self. In those moments, instead of trying to force yourself to be at a higher capacity than you have in the moment, try being a bit more graceful. Try working on simpler tasks. Try to not have the difficult and hard conversations when you don't have capacity to step into difficult conversations. When you're in a low mode, your capacity is lower. And when your mode is low, if you can, don't get into the most difficult conversations and the most difficult tasks. Save them for moments when your capacity is higher. In coming videos, I'll speak a lot about the different ways we can work and learn to increase our capacity. And for now, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up down here, and feel free to leave comments. And that's all for today. Thanks for listening.